Hello everybody, and welcome to the second tutorial video in the How to Make a Choice-Driven Game. In this video we're going to be making the coding end, and we're going to put everything together. Let's get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to make the UI display just some random text before we get the actual statements and questions in. So to do that, we're first going to have to come down here to our assets and create a brand new C# script called Display Manager and open it up in Visual Studios. Now that we have this open, we can get started. So the first thing we're going to have to do is create some kind of placeholder for all of our text and images. And to be able to use the UI in a script, we need to go up here and put using Unity Engine.ui, and that'll let us use all the UI elements in code. We're going to add some spaces here and start adding our texts. So the first thing we're going to do is create a public text called person text. And that's going to display our name or the person we're talking to. Second thing is public text statement text, which is what they're going to be saying. And finally, public image, just call it picture, because that'll be the picture of our person. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to create a public button array called choice buttons. And save it. And this is all of our values, so if we come back to the Unity editor, we can edit this. Now, since the script is a mono behavior, we need it in some kind of object, so we're going to create an empty and call this Display Manager and drag the script in, and you can see all of our properties here. Now, if we drop down the canvas, we can put all these in. Our image is our picture. In our text box, our name is our person text, and our text is our statement. Just like this. And then finally, for our choices, we are going to drag all of these in. Just like that. Now let's go back to the script and keep going. Now the first thing we're going to want to do is make the buttons do something when they're clicked. So we can delete the update method, we're not going to be needing that in this script, and create a public void called choice clicked. And as a parameter, we're going to have an ID, that is an integer. What we want to do is when we click a button, we want a certain event to be called in our statement. So right now, just to make sure this is working, we're going to go debug.log ID. Let's go back to the other. What we can do is we can shift click all of our buttons, come down to on click, press the plus, and drag in our display manager into the objects pod. Then we can go under the no function, we'll click on it, we'll go to display manager, and we will go down to choice clicked, and we'll see the ID here. And since everything starts at 0 in coding, choice 1 will have an ID of 0, 2 will be 1, 3 will be 2, and 4 will be 3. And if we then save this, open up our console, and play, we should see that every time we click the button, the appropriate ID is displayed. So we know this is working. Now real fast, just because we're going to be making another script, I'm just going to create a folder called scripts, just so that we have somewhere to put all of these. Now in this folder, we need to create something to represent the statements, the questions, and our end. These are the three different types. As you can see, a statement has one choice, questions have two choices, and our end has no choices because, well, it's the end. So we need something to represent one of these. And we can look at this to see what kind of data it needs to store. So it needs to store the question, it needs to store the choices, and it also needs to store where each choice goes. So let's go back and let's code that. What we're going to do next is go to create, and we're going to make a brand new C# script called statement. And let's open that up. Once you open it up, we're going to delete these and add our data, which is going to be a public string called person. Public string statement. Public sprite picture. And that's going to be all we're going to add for now, so we can save that. Now, like we said, what we need is some way to resemble these choices, and the choices need to have their text and a link to the next question. So if we go back to our editor, we're going to make one more script. And we're going to call this choice. And let's open that up. Now that that's open, once again, we're going to close this and add our two data types, which is a string called text, and we're going to add the other one, which is a statement, just called next statement. Now that we have these made, we can move on to the next step. Now, since these are both mono behavior, like the display, the way that we'd have to do this is create an empty game object, go put in the statement, and then fill out all of our information. But that's quite inefficient for having quite long conversations and quite a lot of statements. So we're going to do it differently. So we can delete this. Back in the statement script, we're going to make it so that we can create statements outside of the scene itself. So to do that, we need to get rid of mono behavior, type in scriptable objects, like so. And that's going to let us create it outside of the scene, but we need a way to create. So up here, we're going to go to create asset menu, parenthesis, file name equals new statement, menu name equals statement. And we can save that and go back. And you should see that down in the asset menu, if you go here, and if you go to create, you should see our statement up here at the top. Now before we create that, we have to put one more thing of data into our statement, and that's going to be a public choice array, just called choices. So if we go back to the editor, we come here, we go and we create a brand new statement, and we'll just call it statement just because we don't have anything to do right now. And you can see that we can type in our person, we can type in anything we want, we can put in their picture, and we can have our number of choices from 0 to 3, because that's just how many buttons we have. But if you want more choices, you can add more buttons. If we say we want 2 choices, you can see that it's going to ask us for 2 choice objects. And the choice objects are still mono behavior, so we'd have to create an object and drag it in, but that's inefficient. What we could do is we could script the choice like the statement and just make individual choices. But again, if every single statement has 2 or 3 or 4 choices, that's going to get very cluttered very fast. So there's one other way we can do this. If we open up the choice, all we need to do is delete the mono behavior and the colon. And right up at the top here, we just need to add one line of code. System.serializable. And go back to the editor. Now, if we go to our statement, you can see that we can now edit our choices within the statement. So let's just say we want this to be yes and no. We can do that within each statement, and it works incredibly efficiently. That's all we're going to do in this video. In the next one, we'll finish coding the display manager so that it displays the data from our statements into the text box and on the text of the buttons, and of course the picture of whoever we're talking to. And after that, this will be completely done for custom. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, please like and subscribe, and give me any suggestions that you want to see added to this tutorial in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next one.